What's up? Alrighty, so let's get to it. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. It's pretty simple. Compiled of a few simple parts. You're going to have to make a couple things. Basic stuff here. All right, so this is a Sparco steering wheel. So Sparco actually makes this little bracket, and it basically just sits right behind the steering wheel. You unbolt these 6 bolts, and then pull the steering wheel off, put the blade on, put the bolts back in, tight everything down. This button, this came from Hurst shifters. That's why I actually have one over on the table. The reason why I went with this button is because it has this nice nice cord. The one that came with the Sparco actually didn't have that, so I mean, the button can be whatever button you want. You can really do whatever you want here, so it doesn't really matter. Me, I opted for that button. It's just a basic momentary switch. It's got 2 leads, and you're just going to wire this in line on the ground. All right, so your normal operation, you're going to have your switch here. Sorry. You're going to have your switch plugged in here, and there's only 3 wires in here. There's this one in the top left, there's this one here, and there's this one here. And now all this is this is power for your lamp, and then there's just these 2 wires. This is a resistor. This is a resistive switch, and basically what it does is each switch creates a different level of resistance, and depending on what the resistance is how much gets sent through the signal wire and tells the dynamic shocks what to be, how to operate. This bottom wire is actually we'll call it your input wire, so your feed wire. This is the wire that's coming into your switch. Before it is altered, this wire is your signal wire. This is the one going to your shocks. This is the one that's going to be the final output, voltage, current, all that jazz after it leaves this switch. So basically what we have going on here is, in order to do this, you're going to need a second switch. I got mine off Partzilla. Took like a week to get here. Now, the reason why you need the extra switch is because the ride command system on this machine is not designed and set up for an extra button like that. You can't really make it work. The only way I could actually make this work is to incorporate a second switch, and that's what allows us to go to firm. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this normally open relay, and basically what you got here is you've got your 2 wires. You've got a positive. If you put a positive and a negative to these 2, this white and black, it's going to close this relay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to send our signal wire, not our signal wire, I'm sorry, our input wire. Our input wire is going to come in through here, okay? And then what's going to happen is when this relay is not energized, the input wire is going to come out through the yellow, and it's going to be plugged into our dash switch. And remember when I told you where the location was for the input going into the switch, okay? Keep that part in mind. So there's your first spot. If you notice, I've got all these different plugs on here. That's because I wanted this to be completely plug and play. So I've got a female plug on the end of this that goes onto the back of my switch. Bam. So that plugs in just like that. Now, when we send power to this white and this black wire, what it's going to do is, instead of sending the input wire through this lead and out the yellow, it's now going to send it out the blue. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this one and we're gonna hook this one up the same way. Bam. So now we've got two switches wired up, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the one that's on the yellow wire, or in the middle, the one that's in the middle. This is the one that's gonna be active when the relay is not energized. So we'll put that on comfort. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the other one to firm, okay? Now what you need to do is you need to tie these two together, okay? And the way you do that is if you come in here, we've got two jumper wires, okay? So what's gonna happen is you're gonna take one of these leads and you're gonna hook it up like so to the top. It's the silver one, to the top lead, okay? And then this side will have the same thing, okay? And then this right here will plug into the top left port of the plug, okay? I'll show you guys all this stuff once we get into the machine. I just want to show it to you in person. It's a little easier when it's out of the machine. What you're going to do now is you're going to take your second jumper lead, okay? And remember, we only had 3 connections on the backs of these switches, all right? So try not to get hung up on all this other stuff, okay? So now we're going to connect this lead right here. So now we can take that lead, and what we'll do is we'll just jump over here. We'll plug this one in. Oops. Okay. So now we have 2 switches wired together with a relay. We have our 3 leads right here. Remember I told you there was 3 wires going into the switch? This is them right here. So this red one that comes off the relay, that's your input wire. Remember I told you that on the video, your input wire. That's going to be the bottom left. Okay? The right side of the plug is going to be this jumper here. And then the left side one up at the top will be this one. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take these and I'm going to let's just go to the fucking racer. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hook up our 2 jumper leads and our 1 red relay lead up to this plug. So I'm going to pull this plug back through the dash. Get that back through the dash. And then what we'll do is we'll pull this out. Pull this out down here so we can get at it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up my relay and my behind the dash switch, and then I'm going to come in with my dash switch and we'll hook it up. Alright, and this is what you end up with. Just 3 wires going in. Make sure your input signal wire, the one on the bottom, is the one going into the relay. Okay. Top power wire goes to the top power on both of your switches, your jumper wire. And then this one over here on the right, color wire doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's plugged into the corresponding lead. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of bunch a few of these things together. I'm going to bunch these together. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to bunch the relay and the switch that stays behind the dash together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape those together, and then I'm going to run the switch over here on the yellow side. I'm going to run the wires through the dash and then plug that switch in and plug it into the dash. The last thing that we need to do is wire up our relay. Give me 1 second. I'll show you how to do that. It'll be kind of hard to see this,
But right now, we've got our accessory wires coming out. So we got this red one and this black one. Okay. The red one is going to plug into the white wire. Well, it doesn't really matter, but it's the white or the black wire on the relay. Then what we're going to do is on the negative wire, we're going to go from the negative wire into the one of the leads for the button, and then from the lead coming from the button, we're going to plug that into the black wire of the relay. And what we're going to do is we're going to tuck all this stuff back behind here, and then we're going to feed our relay wires back through the dash to our switch. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to slide this switch back in here. Okay, now I'm going to replace this little switch. And the only reason why I'm replacing that little switch is because this is actually going to come out, and I'm actually going to put a different switch here. Alright guys, so now that we got all this stuff on, basically it doesn't matter if you're in comfort or you're in sport. Firm is redundant because that doesn't make any sense because that's what we're going to. But if you're in sport or you're in comfort, as soon as you push that button, it's going straight to firm. And then once you let off, it reverts back to what it was. If you're in sport mode and you push on that button, it goes to firm. You let off that button, it goes right back to sport mode. You know, and if you're on firm here, it doesn't matter. If you push the button, it's just going to stay on firm. But now you can cruise around, haul ass, go as fast as you want. And if you come up on an oh crap moment, just hold the fucking button down. It's pretty damn simple. If you guys need any help with like the layout or how the wires are configured or anything like that, just shoot me a message. It's pretty easy. There's tons of ways that you can do this, but essentially all you need is a relay and an extra switch. The momentary button is all up to you guys and how you guys want to wire it in, solderless connections, whatever, doesn't matter. Hopefully this was informational to all you guys. I hope you guys are doing well, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you guys out on the trails. Love y'all. Later.